Hello, hello. Welcome. Travis Lofka here. The Human Upgrade Project. Sounds very official when I say it like that. Anyways, been a couple days. So we're at episode number 12 now. We'll just call it 12. Those of you that have been watching know it's actually 13, but that's fine. If you're in the know, you could be part of the cool club of the people that know exactly which number we're on, even though it says 12. So, keeping with my regular format, let's jump into Random Squared, bizarre or odd national holidays in the United States. And just going to move my mouse off of that button that says end live, because I think last time I accidentally hit it or something, or Gremlins did it. But today, May 28th, was National Hamburger Day. So I hope I didn't even know that until it was too late. I may still have time to go get a hamburger. I actually prefer cheeseburgers over hamburgers, but they're both made of beef. And if it's not made of beef, it's not a hamburger. I don't know why they're called hamburger. Anyways, tomorrow is End of the Middle Ages Day. I didn't look that up, and I probably should have, but maybe yesterday or tomorrow is the day that the Middle Ages ended, as the title alludes to. It very well could be the case. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you for sure. With that said, we're only at about 2 minutes, and I like to kill at least 3 minutes before I actually get into what we're going to cover, which is going to be amazing, by the way. And if you've been watching, you can tell that I'm starting to get a little more organized and a little more succinct in what I'm doing, and a little better at being a super nerd, which I've always been really good at, but it's never been this organized. So with that said, quick drink of coffee. It's a little hotter tonight than normal. We'll jump right into, let me know if anybody sees this part. Actually, never mind. I'm going to start doing the intro is going to include the, what is the Human Upgrade Project? It's very short, like follow me on my journey to become as remarkable and extraordinary and superhuman as possible, because I've always been curious, as a lot of people are, at what makes certain people so extraordinary in different areas of life, whether it be business or sports or anything. Me specifically, I like focusing on the mind-body aspect of physical, like sports, and business, because they overlap a lot. There's a lot of overlap in a lot of things that we do. You just have to pay attention so you can actually see where that overlap happens. And sometimes you'll hear it too, but that's just when the voices talk to you. So in this episode number 12, title of this, a little misleading, but I like to do that and keep you thinking as much as possible. Episode number 12, One Key to Progress, or A Key to Progress. 1 step forward and 2 steps back. There's some songs about that, actually. And it's not what you're thinking. Or maybe it is, but we'll see here in a minute when I explain it. What made me think of this was the fact that today was an awful day. I did not have a good day. I just mentally did not, and I didn't choose to make myself do the things I needed to do, like my meditation, my breathing, things like that, to turn it around. It was just one of those days where I was just like, just kind of off all day. Like when you wake up in the morning and you're like, I don't want to get out of bed. I mean, even though like what I do and the people I work with and the clients and everybody They're awesome. But today I was just like, I don't feel like getting out of bed, even though I did. But that kind of bled over from the weekend in that I wasn't on my normal schedule. And that goes back into the whole sleeping thing and everything too. And just anything in life is if you have a schedule, it usually works a little better with leeway in there for spontaneity. I like to plan my spontaneity. Kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? But Friday night, little side note, Friday night I was spontaneous. I went into a event that I knew about that was going on at a little winery near my house, where I had some friends, some people I know that were playing live music. And I say it was spontaneous because I thought it'd be interesting to go check out, but I hadn't actually planned on it. And I just happened to be home at around that time, and I was like, I'm just gonna go hang out for a little bit. So that was interesting. Anyways, what got me thinking of the one step forward, two steps back, it's been a handful of things. So see if I can put this all together, and you'll understand as we go kind of how all this fits. Over the weekend, a good friend of mine gave me a book, and it's a book that I actually read like 15 years ago, and I was like, oh, cool, thank you. But actually, I've already read that, so if you want to give it to somebody else, that's great. I'm like, but that book, it looks bigger than it was when I read it. It looks a little different, and apparently, so it's a new version, so I kept it, and I'm going to reread it. But I was looking back at what I had done in the past. It's kind of where the two steps back goes. It's way more complicated than that. So the whole weekend was kind of weird and not on my normal schedule. Woke up today, was kind of like meh most of the day. And that made me think of the fact that it's good to keep the holy crap. So we have, if you've been paying attention to the other episodes, I have what I call the holy crap I slept great last night journal to document what you do when you sleep well so you can duplicate it. That journal is actually good to, in any area of your life, you should have a holy crap, I did X. X was amazing. This day was amazing journal. On the flip side of that, though, it is good to pay attention to the things that aren't so good when they're not so good, so you can avoid those when necessary, when possible. And so that's what I did for today. It was like, okay, well, I didn't go to bed in the normal time that I normally go to bed. I didn't get out of bed when I first woke up. So FYI, I don't know how you guys are, but if I sleep too much, i.e. if I get more than 6.5, if I can push it to 7 sometimes, or usually after 6.5 hours, if I don't get out of bed, because I'm awake, but I can make myself go back to sleep. If I do that, the day turns into one of today's days where it's just bah. So I started looking back like, okay, what did I do? I did that, right? So now I know what not to do. What did I do? What do I do on good days when I wake up feeling great and I have good days? And where did all this like begin? I went back, like I took like 200 steps back. And because of that book that I got from my buddy, I was like, I remember a book that I read a long time ago. This book right here, Seeing with the Mind's Eye. I don't think it's backwards on there. Hopefully it's not. This is the first book I ever bought on visualization. I bought this when I was 16. And I still have it. And it still has like all the highlighting and everything that I did in it. And I got this because I was in martial arts and I was just weird then. I was as weird then as I am now. I've just gotten weirder as the years have gone on. But this thing, I bought it because I wanted to learn more about visualization for sports, martial arts, all that. I flipped back through it and looked at my notes and the highlights and everything, and I was like, oh, wow, this book is out there. Like, it goes through yoga, there's talk about like meditation, there's talk all the different religions, Buddhism, Christianity, on and on and on, how visualization was used in those different religions and all sorts of crazy stuff. So that got me thinking even more about the whole one step forward, two steps back thing. And people are like, all right, one step forward, two steps back. And they automatically, it's a negative thing. But it's not a negative thing if you take one step forward and then you take two steps back and actually look at what you either accomplished or not accomplished to see if you can make it better or change what you're doing, right? A good example of that is in business, and I've done this myself. I've seen people do this, and even in training or anything, is you're so focused on progress that you never actually stop and take at least a step back, let alone two steps back, and look around to see what's happening. Like, big question is, am I going in the right direction? I'm so focused on, let's do this. Let's make this change. I'm going to implement this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be awesome here. Because I've done this. I've been down that road so many times. I'm going to learn this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And then I get like 5 miles down the road and discover that at 200 meters into my journey, if I had taken 2 steps back and looked at what I was doing, I would have turned and not gone a completely separate direction, but made modifications to what I was doing so that when I was 5 miles down the road, I wasn't doing things that were unproductive, inefficient, and ineffective based on why I started the journey in the first place. So think about that. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Because if you take 2 steps back, look at what you're at, you can probably take a giant leap forward after that if you're still going in the same direction. The other thing, this is going to get really good here in a minute. So taking 2 steps back, seeing where you're going, seeing if you need to change direction, seeing if you need to modify what you're doing to get to where you want to go instead of just going. I just see people that put their head down, they're like, I'm going to go. And like I said, I do this. I call it warrior mode, where I'm just like, I'm on, watch out, Hulk smash mode, let's go. But if you stop and you go back like really far like I did and find these kind of things, it opens your eyes to a lot of a few things that you may have missed or forgotten about along the way. The funny thing is, so I'm going to jump back again. So those of you that have been watching since the beginning know that I started like training, lifting weights, learning just weird things when I was like 9 years old. Got this book when I was 16. And during that time, one of my best friends that lived in one of the fields across from the ranch I grew up on, his mom was into all sorts of like cool stuff, but cool stuff as in like health stuff, which I was fascinated by, obviously, because I started doing all this and like juicing and everything else. But that was another thing that this reminded me of, this book. When I started looking back, I'm like, oh, shit, I was learning about macrobiotic diets when I was, I don't know, what was I, 12 or 13? And if you don't know what a macrobiotic diet is, it is basically balancing your food in a way that, it's kind of hippie-ish really, but it's like harmonizing your food, the yin and the yang side of food. I believe it even gets into like how it's like the dishes you use and all this other stuff, but it's mainly like, are you eating too much yin or too much yang or yin and yang? Anyways, that's a step back. The other thing too is turning around. Here's where it gets interesting. 1 step forward and 2 steps back is the action not the motion. And what I mean by that is you will never make forward progress if you're physically, literally moving in the motion of one step forward, 2 steps back, right? Unless you can make that giant leap afterwards, which is doable. But what if 2 steps back was still forward? What does that mean? Hang on a second, I'll tell you. What that means is, like I was getting at before, a lot of times we're so focused, and I've been so focused on making progress, learn, that by the time I'm 5 miles down the road, I realized that I should have stopped a mile or two ago and changed directions on what I was doing. If I had not just taken 2 steps back, but stopped, turned around, and taken 2 steps back. You understand what I mean here? I'm going to demonstrate this one. Like, I'll have to squat down here, right? 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Cool. Or if you're in a chair, roll a little forward, roll a little back. Anyways, what if instead of back and forth, you went 1 step forward, 2 steps back? How's that? I just thought of that recently. I mean, like, right? Right? You're still going forward, but you're stepping back. Why is that relevant? Why is that important? Because when you do that, right, there's 2 parts to this. Forward and then back so you can see where you're going, and forward, turn around, and step back. You're still moving forward, but you can see where you came from, and you can see the work you've put in, the time you've put in, the progress you've made, the things that you've done that have worked and haven't worked. And then when you turn back around to keep making progress, to see where you're going, you'll have that knowledge from the history of what you've done already. So try that. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Nobody says you have to be facing the same direction. So that could be like a whole program or something, right? Anytime you are in the middle of doing something that you are focused on doing, do both of those. Take 2 steps back, look at where you're going, then step forward again, turn around, and take 2 steps back so you can see in the big picture where you came from. And it puts things in perspective too, at the amount of work you've done, because a lot of times what happens with the things that I do is I'm so focused on doing what I'm doing and the progress that I want to make that I forget about how far I've come. So you see things on social media and you see all these people and they look like they're just like got the living it up and everything else, but you don't see any of the stuff they went through. And that's part of the reason I'm putting this together, so you can see me on my journey to become that, to reach that level, to keep making progress and become my version of what I consider to be extraordinary or remarkable mentally and physically. But if I don't stop, turn around, take 2 steps back, and remember and see and look and hear and listen to all of the things that I've done to get to the point I'm at, I'm like, I'm not doing enough, I don't have enough time, this is too much work, it's too hard. All those things, they still creep into your head, and I'm sure they still creep into the heads of the people that are out there that look like they've got it all put together, because they don't, because nobody's perfect. Very few people will tell you that, though. Funny thing about this weekend too, on that note, as far as what you see or what you perceive of somebody versus what you know about them specifically. As you guys know, if you've been watching, I quit chewing recently. That's been a whole nother battle in itself. Still going strong. So hats on to me. At a party I went to this weekend, there was somebody that said, I grabbed a cupcake or a brownie, and because I will eat the crap out of some sugar. Like, I don't keep any junk food, anything like that in my house, because I don't have a governor. Like, if I have it, it gets eaten. I don't care how much there is. It will be gone within minutes to hours, doesn't matter. It'll be gone. It's gone. But so I started eating these brownies because, again, no governor. Like, and this somebody goes, I didn't think you ate any sugar. Like, you're really, really healthy. You eat those? I'm like, if it's available, and I had like 10 of them because not all at once. I might have been more than that, but I just kept eating them. I mean, they weren't that big. They were, little brownie muffin things, but still, I'm like, and I had Doritos, I had all sorts of stuff, but that's the thing to remember. And the thing that I find so interesting when I do that kind of stuff in public, I guess, is I don't go out very much. I very rarely go out at all. So when people see me do anything that they don't perceive or they don't think is my norm, because I look like this like super healthy, apparently with it guy, which is not even close to true. I mean, I'm healthy, but I'm not militant about it. If there's brownies, eat the brownies. These things are delicious. Why would you not eat a brownie? Just don't bring them home with you. Or if you do, this is the other thing, I grabbed a couple, take them with you, just eat them on the way. That's another little tidbit for you. Let me see if there's anything else here in my notes. Again, like, I just thought of this, so it was super random. When I put my notes together on something, like I think a couple episodes back, the 10 tips for sleeping and that was a lot more organized. But I know that if you've been watching this and paying attention to the other episodes, that now you're starting to get into the groove of understanding how my brain works, and things are making a lot more sense. So, let's see if there's anything else in here. Notes. Muscle testing. Oh, that was the other thing. I'll do that in another episode, future moment. I will go down a rabbit hole, as you know, like that. The other reason that I mentioned the 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and the 2 variations of that is because, think about this. When you're talking to somebody that's trying something or has tried something in the past, like, I don't know, a diet or whatever, how often do you hear people say that are failing at what they're attempting to do? They will say, I've tried everything. My question is, have you tried everything, or do you just not know everything that could potentially be available? Because you can't try everything unless you're all-knowing, all-seeing. Other interesting twist on that is, I've tried everything, nothing works. If nothing works, do that. Stop trying everything and do nothing, because you just said nothing works. Right? It's semantics, and I'm grasping at straws on that one a little bit, but it's true, because I know I just had a conversation with somebody that was having some trouble with some stuff, and it was like, I've tried this and this and this, and I have an app for this, and you've heard my thoughts on apps. I have an app for this, and I do this, and there's this thing, and there's this thing, and there's this thing, and it's not working. And I'm like, well, how about trying this? Go old school and either go no tech or low tech. Because how many stories have you heard? This is where it gets kind of funny and sad at the same time. How many stories have you heard about people that hit a tree or a telephone pole while driving, and it was the only tree or the only telephone pole for miles? Like there was nothing else around. It was in the middle of a field or something. There were no stray dogs running around. There were no cows out there. There were no random dragons, whatever. There was nothing, but what they were focused on was not hitting the tree. Don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree. Wham! You hit the tree. So it's like that it's not always, every time, all day, all the time, always, but it's, the more you focus on not doing something, usually it happens, right? Or same thing with technology. I've got this app and this app and this app and this app, and it's supposed to be helping me, and I need to get more apps, and I need to plan this better. Maybe you just need to do nothing and listen to your body and be aware of what's going on. That I guess nothing is nothing of what you were doing with apps and everything else. My version of nothing is 100% pay attention to who you are, what you are, how you think, and how you respond to the things that are happening to you mentally and physically. And going back to the beginning, keep a journal, not just the holy crap I slept great last night journal, a holy crap that was an amazing XYZ journal. Because if you can do that, you can duplicate it and replicate it, at least to some extent, and eventually you won't have to think about it anymore. It'll just be part of what you do. Makes it a lot easier when you pay attention and you're aware. And I have to, like I said, this is all, I'm not just like, you need to do this. I have to do it too, because like today, I was not happy when I woke up. Spent too much time in bed. Was not fully firing on all cylinders all day long. Not in a good mood. And I knew the things I needed to do to fix that. I just didn't do them until like an hour, 2 hours ago. So that gets down to the other part of it. Once you know what you need to do, you have to decide whether or not you're going to do it. I decided not to do it until later, which was not a good decision. It happens. Oh man. Hey Vonna, thank you for letting me know that. Apparently, you know what? Well, it's not going to matter now. I don't know if this is still going to work or not. If you guys can still hear me. Man, oh, here we're coming back. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to call it with that because apparently I'm having technical issues tonight. If you guys enjoyed this, they're going to keep getting better. There'll be some days that are just random like tonight. But feel free to share. Feel free to like, comment, ask me some questions, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. And until tomorrow night or tomorrow day, have an amazing day because it's better than the alternative.